Today you're going to get to meet not only a client of mine, but also a good friend of mine who has helped me with so much stuff as it relates to my events and event strategy. She was actually behind the scenes in the green room of our event, the Power of Paid Ad Summit that we hosted that did over 7 figures in a day. So if you haven't listened to that episode, you really want to. And I also have another episode about the team structure, and I mentioned Kristen as well. So I'm really excited to introduce Kristen Williams, founder of Yes Events. She flew here. You live in Greenville, right?
No, I live in Charleston, South Carolina.
I keep thinking you're closer. I keep associating South Carolina. I'm like, yeah, it's right there.
No, it's about 5 hours. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to fly and make a shopping trip out of it.
I love it. We were just talking about outfits and the best place to go. And actually, like clothing actually really matters for events too.
Yeah, it
does. Because it says a lot about, you and if they can trust you. So Kristen is here. So she is in the mastermind. And I thought it would be really fun, Kristen, if we shared a little bit about our love story and how we met.
Yes.
I thought that would be cool. So before we got started today, I was like, okay, let's go back. How did this all get started? And before I share how we met, I'd love for Kristen to share how she got started in events, because if you have ever heard of Tony Robbins or Amy Porterfield or Russel Brunson or Jeff Walker, these are names that are really big in the industry. And Kristen has had the opportunity to be behind the scenes for some of those brands. And I'd love for her to introduce how she got started with events and tell you a little bit about her.
Yeah, thank you. Gosh, I don't even know if I've told you this story.
Oh my gosh, tell me. I'm excited.
So it happened. It was about 8 years ago. I went to school for hospitality, and I had really no idea what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Found a job in Murrells Inlet, South Carolina. I was just dating some guy at the time. I was like, I don't even know if this company will hire me. Like, it's on Indeed. And I was a little skeptical. And I ended up applying, and then they were like, you got to get on an airplane and fly down to this event in Miami that we're doing, and that's your interview. That was the interview process. I had never been on a plane at that time.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Like, I had no idea this world even existed at all.
And, oh my gosh.
And I got on the plane anyways, even though people were like, are you sure this is legit? And I was like, it's got to be. And that was the first event that I ever went to. And that was the first time that I saw people like making millions and millions of dollars. Like, I didn't even know that you could make $1 million like at the time.
Yeah, literally same. We're all like coming together with this world where like possibilities are limitless. That's insane.
Yeah, so that was it was kind of like a cultural shock, where it was like, wow, that's even possible. Like, I'm from a very small town in North Carolina where I was like, I'm just going to make like $30,000 or $40,000 a year, and that would be it. I didn't even know this was possible.
Yeah, I thought I'd be at like 33 for my whole life.
Yeah. And then you get exposed to it, and you're like, oh, like I can do this too. And so that was really what happened. And then so I started working for this company, and I was with them from like a baby and just grew into the role where I was doing strategy. And then I just got to that point where it was like, man, I could do this for myself, and I could travel more, have more freedom, make more, all of that. And then finally I decided to do it myself.
So cool.
And that's how I found you.
That's so cool. And for those of you, before I met Kristen, this is the crazy thing. I didn't know the difference between an event coordinator and an event strategist. Okay. So when someone creates an event, like any event I'd ever been to before I got into this world of business and entrepreneurship, like I think of church. I'm like, that is an event. Like, we go to church, there's food. We go to the fellowship hall after, like we eat some fried hot dogs. That sounds pretty good, honestly. but so we eat food, we go home. It's so lovely. Like, it's like you're hosting an event to gather people, which is so incredible. And also there's a strategy where you can host an event that empowers them and encourages them and guides them to a next step to work with you, which is like a completely different world. So when you think event coordinator, that's someone who coordinates event. And although you do need that, what's different is Kristen is an event strategist. And prior to us working, we're going to tell the whole story, but fast forward as a little sneak preview. She was at my event, and for the first time, I got to experience what event strategy is, because she was literally in the green room where all the chaos was happening, being like, okay, we need to change this and this. We need to, it's not flowing properly. And she's thinking of it not like hosting a wedding or hosting a regular event. She's thinking of it from like a sales perspective of how can we leave these people so happy, so encouraged, and potentially for a few of them, like partnering with us. It's like an ad, but it's live. It's like a live ad for 3 days. And that is where we are at. So as you hear event strategy and event coordinator, like I want you to think of someone who can really help an event start from start to finish to ultimately lead to the goal that you're after with your event.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that is something that I didn't even know how to explain until I started working with you. It's just, I don't even know like what I do, right? And like working with you, you've been able to pull that out, especially after now being able to experience it.
Yeah.
Which has been a game changer for my messaging and everything.
Yeah, because now I have strong opinions. I'm like, no, Kristen, this is not it. This is what you really do. Or it's really nice because you're going to hear in our story on how we met. I mean, maybe we should just share that because you're going to see how, like, even from the beginning, Kristen, I think she said the first message that we ever exchanged, you had reached out to me. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Give everybody, tell them the story.
Yeah. So I was cold DMing. So that was the strategy that I was using. So one of my friends who I worked with at that old company who knew exactly what I do was like, this girl would be perfect. She's great. And I think it was an ad of your summit in like 2 years ago.
Yes.
And she sent that to me. And then I tried to slide into your DMs and no response as well, like as she should not have. That
was not intentional. I think that was when I was hosting an event with one person to help me, which any human being knows is unrealistic and crazy. And so I didn't have quite the support in my DMs because there was no one. So it was unintentional. Okay. But yeah.
Yeah. And then, so I remember I sent that message and I mean, I didn't try too hard to reach out with you. I was like still in my beginner stage and I was like, I don't even know like what I'm doing. Right.
Yeah.
And then I just remember I kept seeing like your content come up and then it was the mastermind was the ad that came up and I was like, oh, this seems really interesting. This is the problem that I have right now in my business. So I don't know how to get leads.
Yeah.
What is this? So I ended up clicking on it and I don't know if you had an automation up at that point or if it was like I filled out the application and then you were like, hey.
I did. That was before I even used ManyChat. I would just be like, comment the word and then I would just wait until I could and then I'd voice memo you.
Yeah. And then so you were like, hey, like you did you actually mean your like you said it in a very nice way, but in like short form, you're like, are you sending me a message because you're trying to get me to hire you or are you actually interested in the mastermind? I was like, a little bit of both. Like, tell me more, like if I'm being honest. And you ended up really like getting me. I was like, okay, this is what I need. I need this. But,
and I respected it too. I was like, hey, just like because I'm very intentional. Like I looked at your page, I looked at what you did and I was like, hey, I see you host events. I'm hosting one. Like, essentially, are you here to sell me, to help me with events? Or are you actually curious about the playbook? Because I'm genuinely curious because I know some people are like, tell me the pricing. And I'm like, oh, you're just here trying to sell me on something. Granted, I love being sold to. So, like, I respected it so much. But it is so funny because I was like, what are your intentions? I feel like I'm on The Bachelor. I'm like, what are your intentions here?
Yeah. And, and so I didn't end up buying that at that moment.
Yeah.
Because at that moment, I was like, I don't even know, like investing in myself seems super scary.
Yeah.
But I ended up going to an event right after and you were a speaker there.
Yes.
And so I like saw you on stage and I was like, okay, I really like this girl.
Yeah.
And I also really felt, I was like, okay, I could have $1 million business is what I felt like at that point. And that got me, I was like, I think Ashley can be the person that gets me there. Like, I see how she's getting results with these ads, so let me find out more. And that was what really got me into the mastermind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I got to know is what did I say on stage that made you, like, kind of gave you a little bit more confidence?
It's just, I think, the authority that you bring when you get on stage is really what I think. Like, seeing someone in front of, a couple 100, 300 people, it just kind of like it expands that trust factor.
Yeah.
And so I think that was part of it. It's like, okay, this girl knows what she's talking about because she's on this stage speaking. So there was that. And I mean, then you just were always there. And I got a brief introduction with you and just meeting you in person.
Yes.
Obviously, that
very
little
quickly.
energetic exchange.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Because then you did see some ads after that probably too. So it was like, there she is again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Eventually.
always seeing your ads.
Yeah,
you're still coming up. Like, she's trying to show me what to do now.
Yeah, now I'm like, hey, I'm serving this ad for you. Please use this as an example. Go make it.
Like, renewals are coming up. So don't forget me.
Kristen knows. Okay, so that was lovely. So you saw me at the event, then we connected, we exchanged more voice memos.
Yeah.
And then you were playing hard to get too. I'm like, dang it, she's so good, and now she's ghosting me. And I remember thinking, because I know you were at some events and doing some things, but I think you were still thinking about it. And I actually am curious, because I've never asked you this. What was kind of going on in your mind whilst you were temporarily ghosting me?
Oh, I mean, it was, can I afford to not only do this investment, right? Like, it was a big investment for me at the time. I had just started my business.
Yeah.
The question of, is this the thing that is really going to work? And then the question of, really, like, do I even have the money to spend on ads?
Yeah.
Like, if I put this in, and I think what you were showing was like, just even a little bit will go a long way. Like, you just got to use it. And so I had this belief that you had to have huge multi-thousand ad budget, right? And
yeah.
You really broke it down for us. I was like, no, like, you just need to have a little something. Like, what you're spending on Starbucks right now could eventually turn into what you're spending on ads.
And what I love is that, like, I recommend you can start as small as you need to. I just want it to be unlimited eventually.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to be like, oh, we're getting so much demand, so I'm only limited by how much my team can handle. That's the goal. But Kristen is right. And I don't know if I shared this, but actually at the summit where you were a part of the event behind the scenes, do you remember when Zara, my attorney, she came on stage and she hadn't told me the win yet, but she was like, hey, someone saw my retargeting ad and it landed her a $100,000 deal from her ads. And I believe, if I remember correctly, that it's the way that you found me is someone saw an ad and said, oh, here's the person. Someone saw Zara and that person didn't buy, but that person was like, here's Zara to someone else. Mm-hmm. And then you've now had a client, right? A big client who someone else saw your ad and like pointed you to this person. Is that right?
Yeah. So it was a girl in Charleston, South Carolina, which is very rare, saw my ad. And she was like, oh, now I get what you do, because she knew I started a business, but she didn't understand what I actually did. But when she saw that ad of me behind the scenes of a known name that she knew, she then immediately was like, oh, this person knows what she's talking about, and referred me to probably like 5 people at that time. And then, like a lot. And then I had to chase one around the internet.
You did, but you kept going. You really did. It takes multiple exposures, okay? Yeah. And you didn't give up either. And you weren't discouraged. The thing I love about you, Kristen, is even when you got a kind of temporary no, like it did not discourage you.
Oh, no.
It's why in the last episode, we talked about how forever content is compressor content. Forever content meaning like podcasts and YouTube. It lasts forever and it compresses time. Mm-hmm. Like this person, these ads, the exposure that she saw, like compressed the time it took to trust you.
Yeah.
You know?
So true. And
so that's why even for Zara, it was one ad. For you, it was one ad. For me, it was one ad. And one ad can lead one person to you who then leads other people and other people. It's this whole snowball effect. And so I think oftentimes we, at least from the ad perspective, people don't realize how one ad can add up. Mm-hmm. And revenue and impact and all of these things. And when we work so hard to get in front of people that we know can work with you, that we can help, and an ad can like speed things up, one ad can be one referral. And that's why there's in my opinion, never a time where it's not good that you're always top of mind. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I want you and I to always have some sort of ads floating around, at least for people that find you. Because even if you met at a coffee shop and someone saw you, or someone randomly pretend one person out of let's pretend you and I both had a terrible organic post and 100 people saw it. Like, that's it. But what if one of the 100 was like someone who knew someone who could like benefit? Yeah. It's the same thing with the ads. I'm like, just one exposure can make all the difference. And for you, it was like more than like a couple bucks. It was like a pretty big contract, something like that.
It turned into a $30,000 retainer.
Oh, I thought it was 30. That's awesome.
30, yeah. And then, and we're going to continue to work, so it's going to continue to grow.
Yeah.
That was just the start of it. Yeah.
So what I heard was just that one client paid back for the initial investment in the program, just to have that one thing, which is great. And one thing I love about Kristen, which is really special, is you know how she said like, she kept going and following up with this person and then landed a $30,000 contract. She also kept going when her Facebook account kept getting shut down and then the tracking was terrible. And so I don't know, I haven't told you this yet, But over the last month, we were able to get someone out of Facebook jail who was a health coach of hundreds of thousands of followers, incredible person. And she joined the mastermind, and she's like, I paid agencies, I paid freelancers, I paid all these people, and she's never been able to get out. And because we've grown the team, I was like, hey team, mission, this is the only priority. Like, let's get this person out of jail. And we freaking did. Like, I've learned more even since our conversation on how to get people out of jail free. And I feel like I'm like that Monopoly card. But what matters is, like, Kristen, I think it was like 3 or 4 times that things got shut down and we literally started over. And I'm just so proud of you because we talked earlier about it's like the plateau concept where people start out of the gates really hot and then it like flatlines. And at this point, they either go down and they crash or they actually climb. And I'm like, you started off hot, had a bunch of roadblocks, so you were going literally nowhere. You were just staying. If anything, you're going down.
Yeah.
And that's when most people are like, let's just slide down. Let me let gravity pull me down. Let me just go with it. That's when people actually start selling themselves and like, maybe I'm not meant to do ads.
Yeah.
They start looking for excuses to validate their experience. And so you were like, no, we're going to run ads and we're going to figure it out. And you did.
Yeah. Well, I was like, there's like, what's the other option? Which was doing, like, I love organic. I'm doing organic, but it's like to go slow and like, I need my bills paid now. Right. So
Yes.
It's like, I don't have time for that. So I was like, what is the fastest way? And I mean, referrals have been amazing, but they've also come from like the ads as well to keep, your clients remembering. It's like, oh, like Kristen is great for events now. And so people refer me just off of that because they're always like, oh, I saw your content today. So it's like.
So.
Oh, the other thing.
Yeah.
Speaking engagements and podcasts. People like seeing my content now and they're like, oh, now I know what you do. Let's hop on a coffee chat and figure out how we can work together. So a lot of collaborations.
Yeah.
I haven't told you about that. I have come out of it.
That's really awesome too. Cause that is exponential exposure. That's forever content. Mm-hmm. It's like one ad led one person to reach out to you for one episode, which pays back for literally ever, or it can, which is so fun. We don't even talk about that a lot. You remember Julia, like Spanx reached out to her.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hey, saw your ad. You're cool. Can we give you some free Spanx? And can you come teach our people at headquarters? She's like, yes, I'll be there. Like, people don't think about all the doors that ads can open.
Yeah.
I remember Ernestine Morrison, who spoke at my last event. She saw me from an ad and then we became friends and we talked. I'm like, these doors just open when the ads are there because you're literally just there for the people.
And it's like authority. People look at whenever you're running ads like, oh, this person has to be somewhere in their business, right? Like it just makes your business stand out.
Even if it's not. Even if it's in its infancy, it's like, well, they're running ads. I guess they're serious. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think of that when I see people's ads.
It's credibility.
I'm just like, oh, yeah, it is. Yeah.
I love that. When people come to me, they'll be like, Ashley, my competitors aren't running ads. And I was like, are you coming to tell me that's why you shouldn't? Or are you like, you hit the gold mine, now you can because they don't know what they're doing. So like, you're going to be able to be there. Yeah. Like, it's so nice. Even if you are starting and if there's not a bunch of other ads, you get to immediately elevate yourself as the one with the most credibility, most invested. And it just shows a level of care for your business that like, I think other business owners really respect. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, you're doing the game. We appreciate respect.
Exactly. It's like, oh, you're out there trying. Yeah.
You're out there doing it. So Kristen, we talked about how you got clarity on your messaging. We talked about how, like I've just watched you become so much more confident on camera, period. Like the first ad you ever recorded that you sent to me versus the ads that you send now. Like you're funny. You really are. Like she went into the Best Buy the other day and I couldn't stop watching it. I was like, I had something to do and somewhere to be. And I'm like, there's Kristen. And she's like, I just got out of Best Buy. And you could see Best Buy in the background. She's got I'm like, what is the story here? And it was so good. Next thing you know, she's got a potato in the kitchen and she's like tying everything she does to the potato. And I'm like, I've watched her go from a little bit more reserved, a little bit more unsure to confident, funny, and like super creative. And that's happened it's not even been a year yet.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy what life can look like a year from now with advertising, with coaching, with getting in the room.
Yeah.
So the other thing I was thinking about, because I wanted people to hear, what are all the other wins besides just money? Because I think we don't think about that. So you already said podcast, you already said messaging and confidence. What other little things would you say have like come from even investing in being in a room like the mastermind?
Well, I think what's really cool about being in your room specifically is because you're constantly growing. And so you're going to different events, you're going into different masterminds. And because of that, like you're like sharing what you've learned in other rooms. And so like the whole me figuring out how to be funny and all of that on content was because you learned.
I went to Adley's event.
Yeah, exactly. And then you came back and you were like, hey, this is what I learned. And so I think that's one win of like running ads, being in the room, is like being inspired by all the other people and what they're doing. Like you're bypassing, like I always say, you're cutting a check for speed, right?
That's it.
So
it's so true. Like I just like how you listen to a YouTube video or you read a book or you go to an event or you go learn from someone, you come back and your brain is different. Mm-hmm. And that's why you take different action and it's why you get different results because somebody's already given you the play. So like I came back from Adley's thing and I was like, y'all, we need to care more about the beginning of our ads. Yeah. I'm like, we need to get more attention more quickly and we need to like let loose a little bit. Like if you're kind of weird and funny, be weird and funny. And that's probably why the other people will respect your ads more. They're like, weird and funny. That's my person. Like, don't you have to be so corporate? Like, please buy the ads today. Like, we don't want that. We want to like the real human. We want potatoes in the kitchen. I want to hear your Best Buy story. I couldn't hear, you did a purse story the other day. I'm obsessed with your experiential like stories because it's so you and it's personal and it's fun. And I think people like even coming back from the Adley thing, I was like, let's be more engaging at the beginning and let's have more fun. And like you took that, like what I love about you of the millions of reasons, obviously, you hear one thing and you take it and then you go do it. Like you look for opportunities to say, this could help me. I think a lot of people, they sit back and they're like, she gave me 10 ideas, but like, what if those don't work? I mean, like their expectations are different. Whereas your posture is, I heard one thing, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Well, it's because, I mean, I kind of think I'm spoiled in the way that I grew up in this industry because I was literally a baby in my career. And so like, you know how some people, they wake up and they're like, I believe this to the core and like, this is what it is. Like, I believe to my core that I can have $1 million business because I've seen it happen so many times.
You have literal evidence.
And yeah. And so with all of that, I saw exactly what they did, which was you get a little win and then you invest and then you go further. And then so you're always looking for the opportunity, all of the different skills, like where can you leverage?
So true.
And like, so just always looking for where can I invest versus where can I spend? And like investment is your skills, like investment is your money, like all of it to get ahead.
Did you watch these other people like Tony Robbins or Russell or any of these people? Did you watch them? Like, do you know of investments that they made in their business? Like not actually the exact ones, but did you see them like investing in new knowledge or rooms?
I would say like my bosses at the time, I saw them doing it. So they were constantly like they invested in not Dean's, but Inner Circle, the Category King, whatever the top level of Russel Brunson, like they were in it. They were in Jeff Walker's. So they were constantly always doing it.
Yeah.
And because we were always selling people on like, that's what you need to do, I was able to also hear the stories like constantly, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like, yes, it was a sales event, but those stories that people are telling, the stories that you're telling are all true stories. Yeah. Right. And so it was just like years over years, just like proof after proof after proof. And not everyone gets that. So I think
that's awesome. You know, one of the other wins of like putting yourself in the room that you got is I know the cool thing is not only did you get at least one client to at least make the whole entire thing worth it, but there's other clients of my clients in the mastermind or in any of my programs who then got exposed to you, who then saw your ads, who then signed up for your thing. So then you got returned because you got clients from being in a room with other clients, right? Yeah. Isn't that nice?
Yeah. So there's a couple people from the mastermind that's doing the one-to-one, but for the most part, anything that I've launched, like I know there's Amy who anything that I launched, she's like,
she is obsessed with you. She's like, this girl's awesome, and understandably so.
Yeah. So it's just like having a cheerleader, like having like support, and like people who, when you're in the room with people like you, most of them do need your service too, and so it kind of has a payoff as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool.
That's amazing.
So Kristen, people think you're so cool, which you are, because of all this experience. So give us like, of everything that you've learned, maybe events, do you have any like any stories that could help the business owners listening, or anything that you feel like people make the biggest mistakes on their events, or even when they're creating their offers? What are some of the mistakes that like you see it and you're just like, oh, if they only knew this, like what is a little nugget of gold we might could drop that could help someone who's thinking about like creating their offer?
Oh yeah, this one I've been talking about a lot. And so I think what gives me a unique perspective is I have now seen a lot of those like people come to us who that we all want to be, right? The Amy Porterfields, the Russell, all of them. And when they're at that level, it's like they're coming and like what their pain point was, which was always, I built an offer and now I'm not in love with it, right?
Ooh.
And so a lot of people, when they get to that 7-figure mark and they're trying to get to that 8, they've almost created 2 legs of their businesses because they didn't zoom out from the beginning and think of the evolution of your offers.
Like, what are they going to want to be doing a year from now?
Yeah.
Or be, is it like that?
Yeah. So like thinking of it as in like, so at the end of the day, it's like that most people want to become who we are, right? Like that is kind of like the coach, at least if you're a coach, right?
Yeah.
And so sitting back and what is the evolution for my right fit client, that person, and really zooming back and saying, now how does my offer get them there at every level?
Yeah.
Versus one focused, like how do I make money offer? A lot of people start with that. And if you can, and so their problem becomes ascension because they didn't create a through line, which I talk a lot about.
Yes, you do.
So, yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit more about what you mean of like their offer evolving? Do you feel like it's like there's too much them at the beginning? There's not is that they've committed themselves a good bit?
A lot of them, they become the face of it. And so with that, it's like they give everything that they want, like everything to the people at the very, very beginning. And then it doesn't leave room for someone to ascend and want to move to the next level because you've given everything.
Right.
And so, and then you get locked in at a price point because now you've grown to this price point. Maybe you want to do like $75,000, but you've locked yourself in at like a $10,000 offer because you didn't think of the outer first, right? Like this is where I want to go, and price anchor and create a journey from there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of not being able to create an ascension plan.
Okay.
I see.
I have one more question for you. I know we didn't talk about this in advance.
This is so nerve-wracking.
You ready? You're doing great. So I'm really curious your perspective on this. I've had now, let's just say 5 people in the last month come to me and for different reasons, for different things. And they're like, I need to make money right this second. And now my gut reaction is truly like, let's slow down to speed up. Like if you need money immediately, I feel like you're not going to be able to make a good decision if you're like, yeah, you agree?
Yeah.
So can you add some third party validation to my belief of that? Like you can't just like make something out of thin air that you don't think through all the way.
Exactly.
So yeah, what's your point of view?
Yeah. So that is, it kind of comes from a Tony Robbins quote, and I can't remember exactly what it is. But it's like, you don't want to build a business out of survival. You want to make sure you're building a business, he says, like, not by default, but by design, right?
Ooh, yes.
And
not by default, but by design.
That's a Tony Robbins quote, I'm pretty sure.
That is good.
And so it's like, if you are just trying to build a business out of survival, you're going to be in that survival stage forever because you're going to then get to that next level, and your business is built like that. Therefore, you're constantly trying to get attention, and you're not built for that ascension plan, right? And so when you, like, to answer your question, if you build that, then you don't have a through line for people to want to go into the next thing. So you're just putting a Band-Aid on a bigger problem.
Yeah. It's like when people want to run ads to a thing that they just made. Like, listen, you can run ads. If like Dr. Bamonte, when she opens up her clinic, it's brand new. She has no clients. We're going to advertise so people show up to it. Like, I'm not saying you can't advertise to something new. What I am saying is that a lot of times I see people that maybe are lacking a little bit of skill and experience, but they want to make money. So they create an offer, then they run ads to it. And those are the people that are mad at the ads. And I'm like, I don't think it's the ads. I think it's the offer. And I think it's the depth behind the offer. Like, sometimes what we need to do is just slow down and serve people, get some feedback, get some results, get so good at something so that you can make an offer. Don't just like be like, well, everybody's making an offer. That's gonna crash and burn.
And I made that mistake. If you don't remember,
Refresh me.
Oh yeah. Whenever I first started, I did that event sprint.
The event sprint blueprint.
And I was like, I have to do this. I have to do it now. And it led me not being happy with the results, and it ended up going live for 30 days. And it was like, this doesn't actually make sense. You did. But I didn't feel good about it, and now I'm never doing it again. So it was a waste of time.
No, you learned something.
I did learn a lot. I learned what I would never do again.
Exactly, what a lesson.
Yes, I did. But guess who all was in that? Almost everyone from the mastermind, because they were like, yes, I want to do the whole event sprint thing. But I didn't feel good about it at the end of the day.
And now you've learned, and it did teach you what you didn't want to do.
Yeah, it did. But it got me in conversation. I think the most important thing is running ads also taught me so quickly how my clients speak, because I was just winging it. But then I was actually having conversations with people, and now I know exactly how to talk to them.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
So Kristen, as we wrap up, I guess a few takeaways on what would you say to someone who was in your position, where let's just pretend you had experience and you were ready to make the jump to entrepreneurship, but you weren't sure if you could make an investment or if it was justifiable. What would you say to that person? And what would you say to the person who, let's just pretend, is actually a 7-figure entrepreneur, and they're like, I don't know if I need to learn ads. Like, what would you say to that person on the benefit of why learning ads could be beneficial?
Yeah. Okay. So for the person trying to figure out if they can invest or not, I would, first of all, it's like, can you actually really afford to, or is it not? Are you just not comfortable? Those are two different questions. And so if it's the latter of you're just not comfortable, what are you going to do differently, right? If you're how are you going to invest in your business to make sure you're getting a result? And look for the proof. That's what I did. There were so many people that were getting results with ads. Therefore, I knew that it must work. And so look for the proof in those decisions would be what I would say to them. Because I feel like just looking at your Instagram, there's enough proof, right?
I'm on a roll trying to do one testimonial or story per day with a screenshot, because we get those. So yes, the proof's in the pudding, or the proof's in Instagram. Yeah. Okay. And then for the 7 or 8 figure entrepreneur who's maybe what if they're outsourcing to an agency? I know there's pros and cons but just even understanding it enough to be able to have a good conversation. What's your opinion?
Yeah. So I actually see with my clients, they work with agencies, and being able to speak about where your money is going, and being able to say, oh, wait, why am I not getting an X return on this? And so having that knowledge to even have those conversations, right? Versus just throwing your money out there and just losing it, 'cause if you don't know what's going on. So I would say, just if you're thinking about it, do you know enough about it where you feel confident, you could actually get in there and do it today? If not, then you can't have a conversation about it.
In which case you could spend some money and it's not doing as well as it could be, because that person running the ads is doing 20 other people's ads too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I have loved getting to work with you and watch you just you and I both are in 2 completely different phases of our life from working together. So Kristen, tell everybody, if they're interested in getting the secret sauce that I got behind the stage in the green room and just the real-time feedback, maybe they want to host an in-person event, maybe they want to host a virtual event, how can they find you? How can they contact you? What should their first step be?
Yeah. So their first step, I am most active on Instagram.
Yes, you are. Good content too, y'all.
So just reach out. Just send me a DM on Instagram.
And what's your handle?
And it is kristen.yesevents.
And we'll put her link below this podcast or YouTube video as well. So very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This was fun.
Well, Kristen and everybody else, if you are ready to host an event, what could be really cool is Kristen and I are actually a pretty great dream team. So what could happen is she could help you host this event, and I can help the people in the room actually show up at the event. So if that's something you're interested in, reach out to Kristen below. And also the first step is joining the Win with Paid Ads Challenge. So click the link below this video or go to ashleybrock.com/challenge. And I can't wait to see you in the Win with Paid Ads Challenge so that you can win like Kristen has too. I'll see you on the next episode.